All right. Hello, everybody. I just want to, first of all, introduce myself and welcome you guys to our unschooling Q&A. My name is Angela Harders, for those of you that don't know me, although I do believe most of you know who I am, which is probably why you're here. And I used to be a public school teacher, and I actually took my kids out of public school so that I could unschool them, rather experiment with unschooling. And we just fell in love with the whole idea and philosophy of unschooling. And so now I help other families do the same. And so I wanted to start these monthly Q&As because I know when I first started unschooling, I did not know anyone else who was doing this. I didn't know anyone else who had been successful in living out this philosophy kind of to its end. And so I really had to work hard to seek out people that were doing this and ask them a bunch of questions and their brains on how they did things. And so tonight is really your opportunity to do that too. So rather than having to hunt down a whole bunch of people like I did, I love being able to just get together with groups of you guys and answer whatever questions that you have. I saw someone said that they're listening, but they can't chat. That's totally fine. Like I said, this is very, informal. I love seeing your faces. So if you want to put your camera on, it's so nice because then I feel like I'm not still teaching in public school, staring at blank black screens all day like I was when I was a teacher. It's nice to see faces, but if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine too. No worries. But yeah, so just to kick us off, if you could, for those of you that came in a little bit after 8 o'clock, go ahead and just type in the chat and let me know what state you're in and kind of where you are in the whole process of unschooling. So I saw we have one person here from Georgia. I used to live in Georgia, so I'm very, very familiar with Georgia's laws. I am from Maryland. I don't know if there's anyone in here from Maryland or in the DC area. Claire, awesome. And Christy, great. Glad to see you guys here. Yeah, so I'm a Marylander, but I'm actually in Florida right now. I'm here in Florida to finish our registration. So we're registering PAX Academy here in Florida as well, which is super cool. And so I have to come here to do some fingerprints. So I'll be here for a couple days and then we'll be back in Maryland again. Awesome. We see someone from Tennessee. That's awesome. Actually, we just got our PAX Academy approval for Tennessee too, which is really awesome. I'm really excited about that because now that means that people that are unschooling through PAX Academy, you don't have to deal with any of the testing requirements of the state, which is so awesome. So I'm really excited to offer that to our families in Tennessee and Florida. All right, Christy said she's from Maryland, partially unschooling, but still new to this way of thinking. That's wonderful. Yeah, it is definitely a new way of thinking for sure. I think the hardest part is for us. And then also some other Marylanders here. Hi, Brenda. Thank you for being here. Hi, Kane. Awesome. All right, so to kick us off, this really is just like an informal time for you to really ask whatever questions you may have. And I'm going to try to get through as many questions as I can in an hour. So please don't be shy. We're a smaller group tonight, which is great. So you can just either unmute yourself and ask a question, or you don't want to like unmute yourself and talk because that can be intimidating. Just type your question in the chat and I'll make sure I get to all of them. All right. So who would like to go first? Who's going to break the ice for us? Who's going to be brave and break the ice?
Well, I'm not shy, so I guess I need you to just explain to me, like, what is PAX Academy? I don't really know, like, kind of what I'm walking into. I reached out to you just based on like some Facebook feeds, and then because I do curriculum instruction and educational design for like museums and stuff, I offered to do field trips with you guys. I'd love to like get a little flavor, but I need to kind of know a little bit. If you could just maybe speak to that for a couple of seconds so that I can get up to speed.
Yes, that is a great first question. So we actually, because I live in Maryland, we offer two different things for families that are in Maryland. So when you are in Maryland, when you're homeschooling, you have two choices. You can either homeschool under the state supervision, which means that in Maryland, once a year, at least once a year, you have to meet with someone from the county and present a portfolio of all the work that you did throughout the year. And most of the time it goes fine. But on those rare occasions where it does not go so great, or you meet with an evaluator that's requiring a lot more of you than they're supposed to, I have seen some major horror stories in my 15 plus years working with homeschooling families. And so after seeing a lot of families really being harassed and having terrible experiences with being supervised by the county, that was when I knew I wanted to create a homeschool umbrella. So homeschooling under the county supervision is kind of option A, and then option B is going through an umbrella. So Peaceful World Schoolers, which is the group that you were in on Facebook. So Peaceful World Schoolers is our homeschool umbrella. We are a registered umbrella in the state of Maryland, but that umbrella is only for families that are in Maryland. So it's unique to only dealing with families in Maryland. So if you're a homeschooling family or an unschooling family, you're more than welcome to join Peaceful World Schoolers, which is our umbrella. I also run the Peaceful World Schoolers of the DMV group, which is just a Facebook group. It's open to anyone. You don't have to be in our umbrella to come on the field trips. Anyone is welcome to come on the field trips. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is real life, real world learning, which it sounds like you are too, and really being able to give kids access to having learning happen in their real world and not just, sitting at a desk and doing boring worksheets. I think they're boring worksheets, but really getting them out in the world and having awesome real life experiences. So that's the Peaceful World Schoolers of the DMV group. And then the umbrella is kind of like that covering for people that don't want to go through the hassle of dealing with the state, don't want to deal with having to maintain a portfolio all year. They can join our umbrella and be fine. PAX Academy is kind of our second offering for families, not only in Maryland, but that's for families that are in any state are welcome to apply. So PAX Academy is a registered and accredited private school. So students that enroll with PAX Academy are considered private school students, technically not homeschooling students in most states. And so because we are a private school, we're able to accept students from other states as well. So as I mentioned earlier, we've actually done there are some states that require unique registration in their state. So Florida was one of them. So we're registered in Florida as well. Tennessee was another one. So we registered in Tennessee as well. California was another one. We've registered in California as well. Arizona was another one. We've registered in Arizona as well. So, but most of the other states like Texas, Oklahoma, New Jersey, all these other states, they don't really require you to register in that state. Like you can just go to any private school and that's fine. So please do, if you're interested in joining PAX Academy, make sure that you check on the laws in your state. But PAX Academy is the private school aspect. So yeah, did that answer your question? Or
it starts to. I'll have more. Yeah,
okay, yes, no
thank
worries.
you. No, that was super helpful. It kind of outlines
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Yeah, so they're two really separate things. Peaceful World Schoolers just for Maryland people, PAX Academy private school for anyone.
Hey, can somebody bring me some pencil and paper?
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? Or Claire, do you have a follow-up to that one?
I have a little bit of follow-up. So
yeah.
You said unschooling versus homeschooling.
Yes.
So is there a way to have your child do both, like attend a public school, but also do some of the stuff unschool? I don't know. Like I'm have like a very unique situation, so I'm trying to navigate it.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about your situation, if you don't mind?
Well, I mean, my daughter's like very social, and she actually went to a Jewish day school here until last year, where I just realized they weren't really meeting her needs. I had her tested, and she's now has a 504, but I definitely know there's other things going on. And she's just like in the public school system now, like where it starts sixth grade is junior high or middle school, I should say. She's just like, she's doing okay, but as a parent, I know it's just because the teachers are passing her. She's not doing okay, but she's smart, and there's certain classes where she thrives and she doesn't need to have accommodations and stuff, but those are not the academic classes. So the academic classes, she would do better in the real world, with the things she's passionate about and reading the things she's interested in. And, so I'm just trying to figure all of this out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have a master's in education, but as far as this is, like, I'm in preschool right now, so I need you to help
I
me.
can relate. I can relate. 5 years ago, I had no idea what unschooling was. And I was a new, I'm a single mom. I was a new homeschooling mom. My daughter was 4, so I was
Do
kind
you
of trying to
play
figure out
something?
like, okay, how does this homeschool thing work? And I asked in a group, a
You
Facebook
want
group, said, if you could give any advice to a new homeschooling mom, what would it be? And one lady, I wish I knew who it was so I could thank her. She commented 2 words that transformed our lives. She said, research unschooling. And that was kind of what opened the box for me. I was like, what the heck is unschooling? I've never heard of this in my life. And to be honest, when I first started researching unschooling, I thought it was nuts. I was like, I'm a teacher. There's no way that kids can just learn how to read all on their own. There's no way that they can just pick up algebra 2 through osmosis. Like, this is not, they just can't learn all this stuff. If we just give them freedom to do stuff, it will never work. Like, they'll never learn this. And so yeah, I started kind of as like an experiment, but it is really important to make that distinction between homeschooling and unschooling. So homeschooling, I define homeschooling as doing school at home. So what most people think of when they think about homeschool, like your child's not going to school, but instead they're doing what they would have done at school and they're doing that at home, whether that be taking an online class or having a curriculum of doing it that way. Unschooling is a completely different philosophy and approach when it comes to interacting and having a relationship with your kids. And I tell parents all the time, for me, the biggest difference between schooling and unschooling is the issue of force and autonomy. And so when we look at the dynamics of a schooling or a schoolish mindset, it really does center around having power and control over your children. Like, I'm going to decide what I think you need to learn. I'm going to decide how you need to learn it, or a curriculum, even if it's not you necessarily, but there's going to be a teacher or a parent or some authority that's telling you what you need to learn, when you need to learn it, why you need to learn it, how you need to learn it, how you need to prove to me that you learned it, right? And all of that is being done by someone else to the child. Whereas with an unschooling philosophy, it's the exact opposite. The child is the one who's in control of their education. They're the ones that are choosing what they want to learn, when they want to learn, how they want to learn, why they want to learn, where they want to learn, from who they want to learn. So there are unschoolers that do choose to go to school, and they're still unschoolers even though they're in school. But the difference is they're not there because their parents are forcing them to be there. They're there because they're choosing to be there for a reason. And they understand the dynamics of, I'm free in what I'm doing and what I'm choosing to do. And they're the ones that are making that choice to be in that schooling environment if they choose that. Now, I say that to say a lot of unschoolers that do choose to go to school, a lot of them end up doing it for like a year and then they'll come back, just because they kind of learn what they learned and they see the dynamics of school and how harmful that is to intrinsic motivation, to really cultivating their passions and interests. And just, I'm sure as an educator, you are very well aware of a lot of those dynamics that they're just harmful to kids learning in general. And so yeah, a lot of them do, if they'll experiment for a year, a lot of them choose to stop. And then of course there are unschoolers that go on and go to college and they choose to do that too. So yeah, so it's not that, you asked if you can kind of do half and half. From my perspective, I would not say that you can do half and half in that sense, because it really is that question of who has control. Are you forcing your child to do things, or is the curriculum forcing your child to do things, or are they free and autonomous to really take control of their education? And then you're there to support them in whatever that looks like for them, without judgment, without without coercion, without threatening them or punishing them or trying to humiliate them if they, aren't doing something well. So they're kind of like, mutually exclusive in that sense. But like I said, an unschooler could choose to go to school. And many do.
Yeah, I don't punish or humiliate her. That's what the teachers do. So
Yes. Yeah. Well, I wasn't meaning you
no,
specifically.
I know, but it's just like, it's I'm just trying to figure out if there are kids who attend school part-time, maybe go like on Monday, Wednesdays, and then do classes at home, 2 days a week, and then maybe do a field trip a week or something. I'm just trying to figure out, like, that's what would be maybe in a perfect world.
Mhm.
From
How old is your
my
daughter
daughter's
again?
talking. I'm sorry?
How old is your daughter again?
She'll be 12 on the 20th. So she's 11 right now.
Okay. Great. Okay. So she's still kind of young. Yeah. So normally at that age, like personally, my recommendation is to really go all in with unschooling at the age she's still very young. And it's a great opportunity to give her the freedom and time to figure out who she is, what she loves, what she's good at, how does she prefer to learn.
I'm wondering
and to be out of that environment where
she's
someone
like
else is always
of the
telling
gentle
her what she has to do
parenting
all the
mindset.
time.
Like,
And then usually by the time they get to like 15 or 16, that's when we have conversations about doing things like dual enrollment. Or they're starting to think about like, hey, I'm making this plan to go to college, or college is like a stepping stone in my path to wherever I want to get to. How do I want to get there? And usually that's when, they're teenagers and they're like, okay, if I want to go to college and become a nurse, what do I have to do to get there? I should probably take an algebra class. And then we have conversations about that. Do you want to take an online algebra class? Do you want to watch YouTube videos about it and learn that way? Do you want to buy a test prep book and practice that way? Do you want to have a private tutor? Do you want to take an algebra class at the community college? Do you want to, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can learn algebra, right? But then again, it goes back to that same idea. She's the one that's choosing it because she has a reason to learn that. It's not just like, I think we should learn graphing quadratic functions today. No, it's like, okay, I know that this is, a stepping stone to where I want to get for my personal goals, and I'm choosing how I want to get there. So normally that's more of like a high school thing, but at that age, at 11, 12, my recommendation is go all in with unschooling, like build a really solid connective relationship with your daughter, give her the freedom to explore what she loves, have her, practice cultivating that intrinsic motivation again that is so often lost when our kids go to school and they've spent, however many years of their life being told what they have to do all the time. And we want them to go back to, that when they were 2 and 3 and 4 years old, when they're asking a million questions and they're curious and passionate and want to know all the things and want to experiment and explore. We want them to recover that. That is so often lost when our kids are in, compulsory environments. So, all right. So follow-up question to that, or no? You're good? Awesome. Okay, great. Claire, those are excellent questions. Thank you so much for asking those. All right, let me see if I can cover in the chat here. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. And that way I can make sure I answer everyone's questions if they have them. Kane said, if I wanted to join PAX Academy, what we do to start the process and what are the fees involved? I'm so ready to unschool my children. Awesome. I'm really excited for you. I want you to know, like, when we talk about, I'm ready to start unschooling my children, like you've already done it. You've already been doing this. All unschooling is parenting. You have been living and learning with your kids since the moment that they were born. So it's not this like scary thing of like, oh my gosh, now we're going to, do this new thing that we've never done before. No, you've been sharing your life with your kids their whole life and teaching them as they've grown. So yes, but it is exciting. I get that emotion. I was very, very excited myself too, and nervous and kind of a little bit terrified when we first started officially unschooling when my daughter was 5. But yes, in order to join PAX Academy, it's very simple. You go to paxacademy.org and hold on, let me see if I can. Sorry, I've got a million tabs open here. Let me try to close some of these down so I don't give you all a heart attack, because that's how my brain works with a million tabs open all the time. I hope someone can relate. Let me close these out. All right, and I can share my screen. So, all right, so I hope you guys can see this. So our website is paxacademy.org, and you go here, easy button, you just click enroll and you can enroll there. But I invite you to really like read through so you have a really good idea, solid understanding of our philosophy, what we're offering. So you mentioned the prices and the cost right now. It is $350 per student for the year. So very, 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 you will not find a private school that is cheaper than this, I promise you. And right now I'm actually offering a special discount, a family discount for $600 for a year for a family of up to 3 students. And yeah, so those are the prices. And then you just click on enroll now, and then you fill out this form. And that's it. You submit the form. It asks for like birth certificate and transcripts and all that stuff. You don't need all of that stuff to enroll. You can always send that to me later. So if you don't have that stuff right away, that's totally fine. You can just fill out the enrollment form and then you can send those things, later whenever you can get a minute. And I will also request the academic record. So if your children have been in school before, or they're currently attending a public school or private school, I will reach out to the public school or private school and request a transfer of their academic records. And so a lot of times they'll send me all of that stuff in their academic records anyway, so you won't have to worry about anything. But I'll be, letting you know if there's anything in particular that I need. All right, so that is it. Hope that answered your question. Yes, Claire.
The school, so does that mean like from registration, it's 365 days? Or is it registration to like school year?
Yes, that is another great question. Our school year for PAX Academy starts on August 1st and it ends on July 31st of the following year. So if you wanted to, our school year has already started. So again, because our fee is so minimal, regardless of when you start during the year, it's still the same fee for the whole year. So I had families that were like, I don't want my child's done. I had a family actually yesterday, the mom called and said that her daughter came home with a broken arm from school. And she was like, she's not going back. And I was like, okay, fine. So, they just enrolled with PAX Academy and they're finishing out the year here. So you can enroll with us at any point in time. We have open enrollment the whole year. So if you join in, July and you pay for the following year, or if you join now and you want to pay for this year and pull your kids out now from school, you can do that too. Yeah. All right, let me see. Brenda said, I can relate. I'm in the same boat. My child is into video gaming. However, I'd like to introduce him to other things that may interest him, but I don't want to force it upon him. How do you perceive I approach? Oh, how do you perceive I approach this? Oh my goodness. Okay, so video gaming is definitely a hot topic with families. Brenda, thank you for asking this question. Give me a tough one right at the beginning. So this is something that I really struggled with too. And there are many different philosophies and approaches. So, you'll have to figure out whatever works best for you and your family. There is a branch of unschooling. They call themselves radical unschoolers. If you go on Facebook, you can look up radical unschoolers or radical unschooling. They apply the principles of freedom and respect and autonomy, not only to their children's education, but to all areas of life. And that includes video gaming and screens and bedtimes and food and all kinds of things. They're really giving their children, freedom to explore, obviously within, appropriate limits. It's not just like eat cake all day long. But yeah, so they do apply those principles a little bit more liberally to all areas of their children's life, not just to education. When I first started doing unschooling, that was something that I was like, I'm just going to go all in. I really did view this as like an experiment. I figured I'm going to try this out. If it goes terrible, I can always change my mind. We can always, do something different. So if we try it and it's terrible, we can make a change. And if we try it and it's awesome, great. Like we learned something new and that's fine. So when it comes to video game, that was something that I did. And I was so nervous about this because my daughter, just like yours, I don't know if your kids are into like Roblox and Minecraft. Oh my gosh. Yes. My daughter was obsessed with Roblox and Minecraft. I was like, this girl is just gonna have a career in Roblox or Minecraft one day because this is all she wants to do. She loves this. And I found myself getting very judgmental about it. And I was talking to a mentor that I had, and I was like, it really bothers me, like that she, she's on screens for a long time, and I'm nervous that she's just never gonna want to do anything else. And she asked me a question. She was like, what if instead of playing Minecraft, what if she was reading a book about horses? Like, what if that was what she wanted to do with her time? She wanted to read books about horses. And I was like, well, that would be awesome. I would be so happy and proud. I love to read. That would be so cool if my daughter was obsessed with reading books about horses. And she paused me and she was like, Angela, I want you to notice that your issue is not that she's spending a lot of time doing this thing. It's the thing that she's doing that you're judging. And so she said, rather than judge what your daughter's choosing to spend her time doing, sit with her. She was like, I invite you to consider joining her in her joy. That phrase transformed my life. Join her in her joy. And so I was like, okay. I've never played Minecraft in my life. I have no idea how they do this. But the next day she was playing and I said, hey, can I play with you. And oh my gosh, she was so happy, so excited. She was like, really? And I was like, yes, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll download Minecraft on my phone. I'll download Roblox and teach me how to play. And so we did. And I remember we were playing this game, and I was playing this game with her, and she was walking. She likes to do like the dress up ones, right? Where they dress up as characters. And she was walking me through this house that she had designed and built and put together. And there was a picture of Mona Lisa in the like Roblox world or whatever. And she was like, Mom, come up upstairs. I'm standing next to the Mona Lisa. And I was like, you're standing next to what? Like, I was like, you're 5. Like, how did you know that was the Mona? I've never taught you that in my life. Like, how did you know that was the Mona Lisa? And she was like, well, I learned it because I've been playing this game, and it tells you, and she was like giving me a tour of the house, and there were all these other like famous paintings in this Roblox game. And in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting here judging her. Like, she's wasting her time. She's not learning anything. She's just, wasting her life playing these games. And yet she learned so much. I mean, I was actually going to make a video about it, because when we were flying to Florida yesterday, we were talking and about how high the plane was and the clouds. And she was like, are there any mountains that are higher than clouds that we could go to the top of a mountain and see it? And I was like, actually, there are. I said, do you know what the tallest mountain in the world is? And me thinking, I'm asking her and she's not going to know, right? Because again, I've never taught her this. And without blinking, she's like, yeah, Mount Everest. And I was like, how the heck did you know that? I'm like, I've never taught you this. How do you just know this? Like, how did you know that? And she was like, Mom, I learned it when I was playing Roblox. I'm like, okay. So I share those stories with you. Just again, I can't tell you what to do with your kids. You have to decide what you feel comfortable with, but I would invite you to look for the learning that they're doing in the things that they're doing, because I promise you, what looks to us like a waste of time or just playing games, like there's valuable learning that's happening there. They're learning about history, they're learning about science, they're learning about math, they're learning about money, they're learning about reading and writing, chatting with their friends on there. They're learning about the school subjects, yes, but they're also learning other really important skills like collaboration, teamwork, critical thinking, planning, problem solving, like all of this other, the soft skills that we want our kids to master. They're learning all of that too while they're video gaming. So, I don't know, that's my 2 cents on this subject. My son, on the other hand, he's a little bit different than my daughter in the sense that my daughter is able to regulate well. My son is 5, and I've noticed he has a very hard time transitioning away from screen. So if he is playing a game on the screen and it's like, hey, we got to, go run some errands or whatever, he has a really hard time with that. And so, yeah, that's something that we're kind of working through with him, is practicing making those transitions. But yeah, that's kind of what we do. I hope that helps. All right, Nancy, I'm so sorry you have to go. Thank you for coming for the bit that you were able to be here. I appreciate you. All right, any other questions? Any other questions that you guys have? Yes, Lisa.
So, hi. I can't. My microphone from my laptop's not working, so I'm speaking through my cell phone.
Okay, no worries.
So my question is, so I started unschooling with my son, beginning of November. We're also in Maryland, and my thing is right now, I read a lot about it, about how it's 1 month to kind of get your groove for every year they went to school in person and so forth. But I guess what I'm struggling with right now, I know that there's socialization opportunities once a week and field trips and stuff like that, but he's in 6th grade, and what I did notice, what I do miss from the whole school, the aspect of going to school in person, is just the little things, the fact that he has to walk with a backpack, walk through the hallways, have this kind of not the systematic part of it, but just the interaction of having the stimulation around him, the sound of the kids, the sound of the school. And I know that that's very difficult to replicate, of course, when they're at home. And I'm seeing so many benefits from him. I probably should have started off with that. after the first 3 weeks, I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing? Like, is this the right thing? And after that, I started to see a huge, tremendous positive change in him. Like, he used to be shy, that started to go away. His confidence, and it was just very organic. And I know every kid's experience is different, but to go to back to my question, I just felt that information is important, I just don't feel like once a week is enough.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he needs more of interaction, and this is I'm basing this on conversations that I even have with him.
Right.
It's not just me assuming because every kid's different, right? So how do you work through that in the sense of, besides the field trips and stuff like that, just like where they can really get, and I feel like in our state in particular, I grew up in Florida, so it's a very different, dynamic.
Yeah.
And I feel like over here in Maryland, it's a little bit more challenging to get those just natural socialization opportunities with other children, especially after the pandemic. Everybody's kind of like more closed off in their own world. So yes, that's my question.
That is a great question. First of all, I want to commend you for kind of sticking through and pushing through those first couple weeks of like, oh my gosh, is this the worst decision I've ever made in my life? It is a challenging space to kind of push through and allow yourself the freedom to feel all of those emotions of like panic and worry and fear and doubts and questioning and anxiety and all that other stuff, and really do the hard work to like push through all of that. So I want to commend you for pushing through those first couple weeks that are challenging. And I guess I have some questions for you when it comes to socialization. I totally hear your heart about wanting him to experience all of those things that you mentioned. And socialization, I know, is something that's like a concern for us as homeschooling parents, because I feel like that's kind of the first pushback that we get when people are like, you homeschool, and everyone's first question is, but how do they socialize, right? I don't know if you've gotten that one, but I get that all the time.
I do, but I just ignore it. But for me personally, between him and I because I see it's something he's vocalized it, and we're doing something about it, but I don't feel like it's enough. Like, he's into rock climbing and boxing, but kids just kind of go to their class. There's a few minutes to talk, and then that's it. They're very distracted by the activity. So I guess that's the one component I really do miss about in person, that whether they're in the hallway just chit-chatting, like, hey, did you get this on Roblox? Like, how was your day? Like, those kind of like natural, which I feel like he needs specifically. So
how old is your son?
He's 11.
Okay, awesome. So about the same age too. Yes. So there are a couple of things that my family does personally, and of course you'll have to figure out whatever works for you and your son. So we actually, the way we kind of structure our week is on Mondays, I drop off my kids to go to TLC, which is an unschooling learning center in Catonsville. And there are like 80 kids there, and it's basically like a free-for-all. They've got a bunch of different stuff that they offer, but there's a bunch of kids there, and they have literally all 4 hours is just kind of free play. They have the freedom to play and interact with any ages, any group. And yeah, so that's where my kids go on Monday, and I drop them off for those 4 hours. Because I'm a single mom and I also have to provide for my family in some way. And so I take advantage of those 4 hours to try to work as much as I can on Monday so that I can be present with them on the other days of the week. When we first started homeschooling, one of the things that I did was I took care of other people's kids in my home. So there were other families that their parents wanted to work. And so I took care of their kids, and it was really great because my kids were able to have other kids come over and play, and they were with us, and we kind of had this little solid group of friends that they were able to build really solid relationships with them. After doing that for a couple of years, my daughter, who is now 9, she was like, Mom, can we like kind of take a break from having kids at our house all the time? And which I get that too. Every kid is different, and she was just, I think she felt like we were just like go with all, always hosting things in our house, always having kids playing with her toys all the time, always doing stuff like that all the time. And so out of respect for her, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that full time anymore. And so Tuesdays and Thursdays are like our kind of I call them our do nothing days, but we're never doing nothing. But that's kind of like our break
Right.
from stuff, because my daughter, she's I don't know if you would know this, but I am actually very introverted. I'm a very introverted person, and so it takes a lot for me to like be with a lot of people all the time. And I really enjoy having like time to myself and time alone. And my daughter is very much the same way too. So she enjoys having those days where she's kind
Right.
of downtime at the house. There's nothing scheduled. We're not rushing anywhere, and we can just kind of be together and have fun doing whatever we want. So that's our Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Wednesdays, I actually go and I facilitate, I facilitate like they call them guilds, but you can offer different things at TLC. So I go there on Wednesday and I'm there with them the whole time. Last year I did a book publishing guild, so I taught kids how to write and publish books. And this year, I don't know, I haven't decided yet what guild we're gonna do, but yeah, so I'm there with them on Wednesday, and it's funny because even when I'm there with them on Wednesday, like my son, as soon as we get there, he's like, "Bye, mom." I mean, sometimes he doesn't even say bye. He's just off like playing with kids. And my daughter is just by my side. She
Yeah.
really enjoys spending time with me. And so yeah, they're really different. So I say that to say, again, every kid is different, and as they grow, their needs may change and evolve. That's what we do.
Right.
She was also in a natural leaders program. I don't know if your son enjoys being in the outdoors, but that program was phenomenal. I loved that program, but my daughter was like, I don't want to be outside for 5 hours. So like I said, she's very much a
Yeah.
homebody, so she was ready to be home. Another thing that we do is like special activities like sports. So they go to a martial arts class in Silver Spring. If your son's interested in that, that's an awesome program too. It's like $200 a month. And they have unlimited classes 6 days a week. And they also offer homeschooling classes during the day if that's something that he would be interested in. We'd love to have him join that. They do like softball, soccer, swimming, things like that. But I think the way that they've been able to really build their closest, most solid friendships is through me being intentional to invite people to be a part of our lives, like organizing those play dates, like, hey, come, do your kids want to come over and hang out with my kids? That kind of thing, which is
Yeah.
out of my, like it takes a lot of me to like take the initiative to do that. As an introvert, I'm like shaking. But I do that because I know that that's important for my kids, and it really matters to them, and it makes such a difference for them and for me, being able to build relationships with other people, and then having those kind of like, time where it's not like you mentioned, I can relate about going to a field trip and they're doing the activity and then they leave, and there's not really a lot of that time for like connection with other people that are there. So that is
Yeah.
something I have noticed about our field trips, and I'm planning field trips for the future that will kind of address that. So I'm planning to do like one field trip where we're doing like an activity where they're focused on the activity, and then another field trip where it's like, hey, we're going to this park, come and hang out, so it's a little bit more of that, like there's nothing planned, there's no guide, like come and just build relationships with other kids, swimming in a river or hiking up this mountain or sliding on this slide, what playing real, bring your devices,
Right.
Roblox together, something a little bit more organic. So
Yeah.
I hear you, and I
Okay.
appreciate you bringing that up. So
Thank you.
yes. Did you have a follow-up question to that?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Want to make sure I covered everything. All right, Brenda, you said, following up to the response I gave, my son has trouble with transitioning away from screens. I can definitely relate because my son is the same way. How are some ways you have overcome that, if any? That is something we are still actively working through. That is something that's really hard. And again, every kid's different. So I feel like I'm building the plane as we fly here, right? Figuring this out as we go, because everyone is different. And so we're just kind of experimenting with different things and trying. So normally I will tell him like, hey, at this time we're going to leave. And I've started putting alarms on the iPad for him. So he will like get a notification that's not me saying like, hey, we're leaving now, but he'll get like the notification from the iPad that's like, oh, 5 more minutes. And I found that he's very like he really likes the idea of understanding time. He always asks me like, how many miles away are we? How many minutes away are we, from anything. And so kind of giving him those timers on the iPad have been really helpful for him. And then also just planning in for that extra time, like, cause I know it takes him longer to transition anyway. So rather than giving us like 15 minutes to get ready, I'll try to give us like 20 or 30 minutes to get ready and get out the door, just because I know it's going to take him a minute. But yeah, so yeah, having conversations about it. There have been times that we would talk about it. I would say, hey, I noticed that you get really angry when it's time for us to leave. Or, I don't know, you want to like throw the iPad on the floor, or I don't know, whatever it is that he might want to do. And like, that's not okay. We don't want to like hurt people or hurt things or things like that. It's okay for you to feel angry. I get it. I would be upset if I had to stop doing something that I was really excited about. You can come back and do this. And sometimes we've talked about taking a break. So that's something that I've again, experimenting with that as well, of like, hey, I think you need a break. Like, he's not able to do the regulations so well himself. And so again, my parenting part is like, I'm observing that you're having a hard time regulating this, and you're getting very dysregulated when we have to do these transitions that are like necessary in life. And we need to practice how we can do this better. And so to help you do that, we're going to like take a break from doing this. And again, I try really hard not to like punish my kids. I really do apply principles of like peaceful parenting with my kids. So again, not so much about like, I'm taking this away from you because I'm angry that you're having a temper tantrum. Like, no, it's not like that. It's like, it's just, I don't know, it feels different, I guess, than like a punishment towards him, but really having conversations with him. And then we also do them as like group days, because I don't know about you, but I can spend a lot of time on my phone too. And so, yeah, we've started doing like tech-free Tuesdays as like a whole family. So like all of us, we have tech-free Tuesday. And we're gonna, like, including me, I'm gonna not be on my screen for Tuesday. And, just to kind of have that practice, like as a family together. And it's hard for me. Like, it's hard for me. And so I get that it's hard for them too. And it's okay. It's okay that it's hard, but at the same time, I think I appreciate those days, because I find that we really connect in other ways too, when we're not, playing on Roblox or doing screens together, and I can kind of have a break from TikTok or Facebook or whatever, and really be intentional and focused with them too. So yeah, I don't know, maybe trying like just a general, not like, hey, I'm taking away screens from you kind of a thing, but like, hey, as a family, we're going to try this for a week. So, and again, communicating the purpose of it. Like, we want to focus on building our relationships in other ways. We want to focus on like having connected relationships with each other, and even admitting for yourself, like, I admit that I spend a lot of time on my screen, more than I want to. And so I also want to take a break from this and just really focus on being reconnected with you. So yeah. Yep, you could do a tech-free day, or even a chunk of the day, like you said. We kind of stop screens around like 7 or 8 p.m. That's kind of like our cutoff. And again, we have conversations about that. I know that there are some radical unschoolers out here that would be mad at me that I'm like, no screens after 8 p.m. But again, even that is like it's not a hard and fast rule. Like, there was another, like a couple days ago, my daughter was like, hey mom, can we stay up and play Nintendo? And I was like, sure. And we stayed up and played it. We played till like 11 o'clock at night. I know that probably sounds totally irresponsible. But she was like, mom, this was one of the best days that I ever had. Like, she just loves cuddling with me on the couch, and we were playing, Mario together and working together to play this game. And it just, I don't know, it was really special. And it's not something that we do every day, but for her, it was something she's like, mom, this was the best day ever. I just thank you so much for letting me stay up late and play games with you. And so, yeah. Great question. If you figure something out, feel free to let me know, because I'm open to all suggestions. If anyone has any ideas on how to handle a transitioning 5-year-old away from Roblox, please let me know. All right. Any other questions that you guys have about homeschooling or unschooling?
So how many hours a day? Because it sounds like Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're not really doing like lessons, or so how do you fill the days? And then how do I get work done too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we never do lessons. Never. As unschoolers, I am never like, I'm going to sit you down and teach you this lesson. We just never do that. One of the things that I started doing, because again, I'm a single mom, I'm the sole provider for my family, and I am also a workaholic. I love what I do. I love talking with people about unschooling. I love making TikToks about unschooling. I could literally do this all day. And so because this is something that I love and I enjoy, it's hard for me to like step away from that. And so I'm learning for myself how to figure out that balance of like, yes, I have to provide for my family, and I also want to be like present and there. So some of the things that we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because they're more like down days, obviously I can't not, like I have to work too. So what we typically do is I have focused 1 hour with each of my kids on those days. I don't know if you have this issue with multiples, but sometimes when you're like having that one-on-one time with your kids is so, so, so important. Like, I think sometimes we get used to doing things as a family that they really miss out on having that one-on-one connection time with me. And we call that like their yes time, or mommy and Sophie time, or mommy and Ben time. But during that hour, they have my undivided, I put my phone down, my phone is away. And they have my undivided attention to work on whatever it is that they want to work on during that time. And normally during that hour, what my daughter asks to do, she loves to write and publish books. She's 9 years old. And so normally during that time, she asks me if I can help her with typing her book, because she can't type as fast as I can. And so she's got all these ideas in her head for stories that she wants to write, and she just can't type them out yet. So she'll ask me if I can help her with typing it or help her with editing what she's typed on her own. So normally that's what we do in that hour. And then with my son, he really enjoys playing Legos with me, and he really enjoys like reading books with me. So normally when it's my time with him, that's kind of what we do. But yeah, what do our days look like? It really depends whatever we have to do on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, but normally we wake up together, we cook breakfast together. Actually, my daughter has been taking the initiative with breakfast. She said that she wants that to be her responsibility. And I'm like, have at it, because I don't like cooking. So if you want to make breakfast, go for it, girl. So she has been making, eggs for us every morning. Praise the Lord. So she does that mostly, and yeah, she make eggs and frijoles and toast and stuff. So she makes the breakfast. And then normally I'll do like 1 hour with one kid and then 1 hour with another kid. And then around that time, it's like they're hungry for lunch again. So we'll, start talking about lunch. My best friend also lives with us. So a lot of times she will cook for lunch. And then I'll be like, okay, guys, now that I've spent time with you, I find that when I spend time with them first, it's easier for me to go and do my other things, because kind of their cup is already filled, so like, okay, I've had a lot of really, positive connected time with mom, and now they'll let me kind of be. And so I will usually work. Again, I work from home. So my daughter will sit next to me on the couch, and she'll work on Procreate and animations and graphic design, or she'll sit and play Roblox next to me with her friends. And I'm working on typing my next book or whatever that may be that I'm doing. So we're each working on our own things, but we're like in the same space usually, or we're next to each other. Or my son will be in the playroom and he's playing. He's actually very connected to my best friend who lives with us. So a lot of times, like, she'll, take him out to go for a walk or skateboarding or something like that. And then they go to martial arts every evening. So yeah, that's it just depends whatever we want to do for that day. Sometimes they'll say, hey mom, can we do a science experiment today? Yes. Hey mom, can we read this book today? Yes. Hey mom, can we go to the park today? Yes. It's just whatever. Can we watch a movie today? Yes. Hey mom, can we play Nintendo today? Yes. Like, whatever it is that they want to do for that day, that's what we do. And they love it, and I love it, and they learn as we do whatever it is that we do. What are you thinking, Claire? I'm so curious.
Yeah, so I travel a lot. I know you're in Florida, and I think you said your daughter's there with you. So
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, to me, that's learning. You're going somewhere different, so I'm just thinking feasibility. I mean, I would love to do it. I also have a 15-year-old who is very happy in school and has no desire to even investigate what I'm investigating. So this is fully, but you know, I think as long as, and I know what she's passionate about, I know there's places around Baltimore and the DC area. And also I have clients, you know, in San Francisco, Nashville, South Carolina, like she can travel on business with me sometimes. So,
Yeah.
I'm just, my brain's kind of going. So,
Yeah, travel is amazing. Actually, it's one of the main reasons why I started unschooling was because I love the idea of kids learning through their real life, real world experiences. And like you said, there's so much valuable learning that our kids do when we travel. Actually, Christy, I saw that your little one is getting tired. I get that. No worries. Um, so if you want to connect with me about whatever those questions were that I missed, I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to get to them. You can book a call with me. So I do free like 15-minute calls. If you need like a free 15-minute call, you can book that with me via that link. If you feel like you need a longer consultation, let me know. I do like paid hour consultations. But yeah, if it's something quick, like feel free to, book a call, and I love to talk with you personally and privately about whatever it is. Yes. Sorry about that. Yes, but anyways, going back to your question, Claire, I agree. I think that, it's a beautiful opportunity to involve your kids, and the way that your life works and what you want to create, not only for yourself, but also for them, and then invite them to be a part of the process. Like, hey, how do you want to spend your life? How do you want to spend your time? Would you want to travel with me and experience these things? Would you want to, do this and on your days, and they really get to create their life and how they want to invest their time. And it's really a beautiful, special thing that you guys get to create together, a life that you love. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? I know there are a lot of quiet people today. So feel free to unmute yourself and share. I'd love to know what you guys have thought. I know we've talked about a lot of big stuff today. I hope that this was helpful.
So I have actually another question.
Yeah.
And it may be like a cliche answer to this question, but kind of living in New York, there are very cold days. And obviously, and especially during the winter, and I have a younger son who basically can't be out on those days.
Mhm.
So my thing is I'm looking for new ways to always like engage my kids to like have a good day, even though we're indoors. Because I know at times it can get a little boring being at home. And so they're just like, Mom, I'm bored, especially my oldest. So it's like I'm trying to find like new ways to kind of engage, like, for them to have a good day, even though we're spending it indoors, and stuff like that. So I guess my question is really like, how would I go about that?
I tell my kids all the time, if they tell me that they're bored, I'm like, that is wonderful. This is an opportunity for you to create something fun for yourself. What on earth do you want to create now? Like, it is not my job to create fun for you. That is like something you get to do for the rest of your life, because as an adult, no one creates fun for me. Like,
Right. I have to create it for myself. Like, what
right.
do I do?
I have to create what I want to do with my time. And if I'm bored, that's my own problem. I got to figure out what I want to do with my time. And again, that's part of that struggle there, right? As we're raising our kids and helping them to be effective, productive, successful adults, part of that process is like, again, wrestling through those hard emotions of, I feel bored and no one else is telling me what to do. And in that space, that's where they have to do the hard work of like, what is it that I actually want to do for myself? Let them be bored. Give them the gift of boredom. Give them the gift of boredom. It is not your job to create all the fun and fancy things for them to do. I mean,
That's awesome. I like the answer. So yeah, it's
yeah. Ask them. You're
understandable.
feeling bored? What would you like to do? Create something. Create fun for yourself. You can do it. I believe in you. What do you want to create? And I'll do it with you if you want me to. I
Right.
don't want to, but I'll do it with you if you want. Yeah. Let them create something out of it.
Great. Thanks for that.
Excellent question. Oh, I do want to say something too about the seasons. This is something that I've been learning recently too. I think like in our culture, we're very much like go, 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 go all the time. And I think we forget that like nature rests in the winter.
Mm.
Like all of nature rests in the winter. Like mammals, they hibernate.
Right.
Trees lose all their leaves. Everyone's like, it's cold, I'm taking a break. But we don't give ourselves or our kids permission to like flow naturally with the seasons that way. Like
Mhm.
it is okay for you to chill in the house with your kids and cuddle on the couch and watch Netflix. That is okay. Like it's winter. Have some hot cocoa and like read a good book. You know, like it's okay to have a slower day. That is so hard for me because I'm like, go, go, go. I want to do a million things and I've got all these things that I want to do and all this stuff that I have to do that never gets done, ironically. It's hard for me to like be okay with things being slow and going with the flow of nature. Like when it's winter, I can give myself a break. I can hibernate just like a bear. I'm allowed to like relax and chill. Yeah. So great questions. Anyone else? I think we have time for like maybe one or two more. No questions? Okay, then I have a question for you. I would love to know, one, if this conversation was helpful for you, and two, what is one thing that you feel like you've learned or kind of a takeaway that you have from what we've talked about tonight? Because I know we talked about a lot.
I would say that this was very helpful for me because I think like somebody had said it tonight at one point or another, like being new to to this whole thing because this is my first year. Um it's really just been kind of an eye opener for me. Like this is like a whole new like world, really, like a whole new experience, atmosphere even to like research unschooling, as you said earlier. Because it really is kind of like a lifestyle that I feel like for a very long time I've kind of been wanting to kind of approach this sort of lifestyle. I just didn't know, I guess, how to go about it because I know like if somebody were to like pretty much I know for a fact like family members would just like pretty much bash it. Family members, friends, whoever will see this lifestyle and it's just like you're just lazy. You don't like to do anything. You just play games all day and just be on that screen all day. Like, don't you do anything else? Like, or you read books all day. Don't you ever take a break? Like, or like, just anything that they just will see, they bash. And it's just like, it's kind of like how you were saying earlier, like, sometimes the very thing that we like basically have a problem with, maybe we see it like, like, oh my gosh, my son is spending too much on screens. Like, should I do something about it? Should I tell him to stop? Should I tell him to focus on other things? Like, but really at the same time, it's like, I want to have a relationship where it's based on like, like how you say peaceful homeschooling, peaceful world homeschooling, right? Or something like that. And that's really what I'm trying to create. I'm really trying to create an atmosphere which is peaceful for not only myself, but for my kids.
Yeah.
And really for them to just have the freedom to do whatever it is that they want to do. If they want to be on the screen all day, hey, have at it. You want to do some drawing, or you want to do some sort of art project, whatever, science experiment, whatever you want to do, like, I just always want them to always realize that they can just do anything.
Yeah.
They can go about their day doing anything and, just be happy, just be peaceful in it and just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the time together, like as mother and, son or sons or daughters even. And just have that one-on-one connection because honestly, I feel like that's where today in America we're lacking in like connection with other people, connection with even our own families. Like nobody has time to do anything. It seems like everybody says that, like, I don't have time to visit my family, or I don't have time to do this, like, even though I want to do that, but it's just like you can. If you just take a moment and just like analyze your life for a second and just be like, you can't, you just gotta deal with the stuff, that, you should probably maybe get rid of like doing or whatever, just to make time for that,
Yeah. We all have time for the things that matter to us most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's excellent. I thank you for sharing that. That's a really great reflection. I actually, as you were talking, I was reminded of a podcast episode that I did actually. I don't know if you guys, I don't talk about this very often, but I have a podcast called the Peaceful World Schooling Podcast where I interview other unschooling families and I talk about their experiences, and unschoolers, also grown unschoolers. So those are really interesting to hear from their perspective. But as you were talking, I was reminded of a podcast episode that I released recently where the mom was sharing that her son was also like very much into gaming, and he took a break from gaming, and he said to his mom, I need to take a break because it's getting so hard, so I'm going to go and teach myself. Like he was learning French or something like that. So he was like, and she was like, the game was getting so challenging for him that his like decompressing from the challenge of gaming was to go teach himself a foreign language. And she said that the work that she had to do was to learn how to be able to value both of those things the same. I was like, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I love learning languages. I'm very academic. I did great at the game of school. I was the straight A kid and all the things, right? Which is probably why I became a teacher. But to be able to look at both of those things and value them the same, like him working hard and problem solving in this video game is just as valuable as the time that he's spending teaching himself a new language. Do you know what I mean? And not view one as like, this is better than this, or this is more important than this. Like that's really hard for me personally, like that's the work that we as parents have to do. But as you were talking, I was reminded of that conversation. I encourage you to listen to that episode. It was really, really good. I think it was like the last episode that I published was that one.
All right.
So yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, we are past 9 o'clock. I saw Claire had one more question. Does PAX Academy require portfolio? No. No, we do not require. The only requirement that I have from you is that you tell me what grades you want us to put on your transcript. That is it. So you get to decide what classes you want reflected on your transcript, how you want to give yourself a grade or not give yourself a grade. There are some people who don't believe in grades, and if you don't believe in grades, fine. You don't have to have grades on your transcript. If it doesn't work out, or if they just decide they want to go back to school, they can totally do that too. So they will get a transcript from PAX Academy just as if they were to go to any other private school. And then when they go back to, if they were to go back to public school, they would transfer in those credits. There are some credits that don't transfer, even from public school to public school. Like I've had kids transfer between counties from public school to public school, and they won't take all their credits. I don't know why. It's just kind of the nature of when you switch schools. Sometimes they don't take all the credits. Sometimes they do. But yeah, that is just something to be aware of. It's not, again, that is not so much of an issue when they're in the younger grades. It's more of an issue when they get to high school. So like K-8, most of the time they just kind of put them back in public school with whatever grade they are in based on their age. But when they do get to high school, that's when they really start looking at like the breakdown of the credits and all of that other stuff. But for students that are in PAX Academy, I actually do offer, you get a 50% discount on college and career consulting that I do. So that's something I do privately, but PAX Academy students get 50% discount on that. And during those meetings, we talk through about all of this stuff of like planning out. I recommend that they do it in 9th grade. So we talk through, what do you want to plan? What is your plan for the next 4 years? What do you want the next 4 years of your life to look like? Are you thinking about going to college? If so, these are the things that you probably want to start thinking about, I recommend, if you can, do one consultation when they get to high school, do one every year, do it at a bare minimum when they are freshmen, and then when they are seniors. When they're seniors, the conversation of college and career consulting looks a little bit different. We start talking about things like dual enrollment, how they can hack their college education by doing things like testing out of stuff. So doing CLEP tests and AP tests. That was actually how I managed to save almost $20,000 of college expenses, because I just tested out of everything that I could and was able to get out of all this stuff. So doing that. And then also we talk about like how they can apply for scholarships and financial aid and all that stuff as homeschooling or private schooling students. So yeah, so all that stuff we talk about like for the senior meeting and kind of planning for the transitioning, transitioning out of unschooling through K-12, and then whatever that next phase of their life is going to look like, whether that is going to college, getting a job, like creating a business, joining the military, taking a gap year, whatever that may be for them. But I'm there to kind of walk with them through that that season of their life and make sure that the transition is everything they want it to be and more. All right. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have something, I know there were like, I maybe did not get a chance to answer everyone's questions. If I did not get a chance to answer your question, please feel free to book a one-on-one call with me. I would love to talk with you. I know sometimes it's hard to like talk when there's a lot of people and everyone has questions and our time goes by so fast, but I hope that the questions that I was able to answer for tonight for you guys, I hope that it was helpful for you. I hope that this was a valuable investment of an hour of your life. I do not take that lightly. I know that there are many other places that you could have chosen to be tonight, and I'm very honored that you chose to share an hour of your life with me. So thank you very much. I hope that it was a valuable investment of your time, and feel free to book a free 15-minute call with me if you need to talk one-on-one about anything. I am here. I'm super excited for everything that you guys are doing, all the hard work that you're putting into this, and I'm excited to be a small part of your journey in creating a life that you love with your kids. So yeah. All right. Have a wonderful evening. Bye. Thank you guys for being here.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.